Alright, this is a video for 3HT explaining what you need to do with paragraph 9.2, measures of dispersion. Well, first I want to talk about a few things that you already learned. For example, in the previous video you learned how to group data using a schedule like this and how you can make it into a histogram. If you don't understand this, then please watch my previous video. And also in another previous video I explained how to do the mean, median and mode. I just made a new video about this, explaining how to do that in a stem and leaf diagram. So if you have difficulties with that, you can also watch that video. But now we're going to do this paragraph, and you're going to learn a couple of new things. You're going to learn what quartiles are. And here you can see the first quartile and the third quartile. So one thing that's missing is the second quartile. So I'll tell you something about that also. And then I'm going to tell you about the range and the interquartile range. So you can see a lot of new difficult words here. Alright, so let's just get started. I wrote down a couple of values here. Let's say that these are the marks that some people had for maths. One person had a 4, 5, 5, 6, 7, 8 and a 9 and a 9, and another person had this. And one difference here is that this is an even amount of values and this is an odd amount of values. There are 8 marks here and there are 9 marks there. Now starting with something that you already know, you know how to calculate the median. If not, I'm going to explain it now, but we'll need this for the rest of the explanation. If you want to calculate the median when you have an even amount of values, then there are two numbers in the middle, the 6 and the 7. So that means that you have to add them and divide it by 2. So the median here is a 6.5. When you have an odd amount of values, the median is easier because there's one number in the middle. In this case, that's the 6. So the median is a 6. Now I'm going to tell you about the new things. We have Q1 and Q3. Those are called the first quartile and the third quartile. And the median, that's actually the second quartile. Now I'm going to tell you what these are, and then I'm going to tell you why you could use these, why they're useful. Alright? If you have all the values here at the top, I'm just going to make a line here and divide it in two. So we have the first half and the second half. The first quartile is the median of the first half. So we can take a look at the 5 and the 5. So the median of the first half is a 5. So that's the first quartile. The third quartile is the median of the second half. So here you see 8 and 9. So that would be an 8.5. So now we have the first quartile 5, the median which is a 6.5, and the third quartile which is an 8.5. So I'm going to show you why these are useful using something in the book that's actually in the next paragraph. So here we have paragraph 3. I'm going to make another video about this later, right? So don't worry about it too much for now. But here you can see a figure called a box plot. And a box plot is a new way to represent data. And this line in the middle is the median. This line here is the first quartile, and this line there is the third quartile. This is the lowest and this is the highest value. So this tells you something about the spread. Like how is the data divided over this axis. If two things are very close to each other, then those values are also very close to each other, and otherwise it's spread out more. So a box plot tells you something about how the values are divided. And we use the median Q1 and Q3 for that. So here's another example, right? But next time I'll make another video about what a box plot is. Yeah, so I'll go back to where we were, and that's here. Measures of dispersion. Okay, so I also want to tell you about two other words that you can find in your book, and those are the words range and also interquartile range. So let me tell you what those are. The range is the difference between the highest and the lowest value. So in this case that would be 5, because the difference between 4 and 9 is 5. The interquartile range is the difference between the first and the third quartile. So in this case that would be 3.5. Now what this tells you, it also tells you something about the spread. If your range is bigger, that means that, well, the difference between the lowest and the highest mark here is also bigger. So as a teacher I always want the range to be small, so everybody does approximately the same thing, and of course I want the average to be high. But sometimes you can see there's a very big range. That means that some students didn't understand it at all, and some students did really well. Right? Let's take a look at my other example, because here we have 9 marks. We already calculated the median, and now I'm going to calculate Q1 and Q3 again. So the thing is, I can't make a line here, just like I did over there. I just said this is the middle. I can't do that here, because then I have this 6 that's in the way. So I'm going to make a line around it, like that. So we just ignore the median, and call this the first half, and call this the second half. So Q1 is 4.5. and Q3 is 7. So the range for this set of data is 4. So the results are closer to each other, right? And the interquartile range is also smaller. That's the difference between Q1 and Q3. So that's 2.5. So this is how you calculate the Q1, the Q3, the range, and the interquartile range. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.